right. Sandy Alderson knows that the Mets are hearing some of the criticism. Here was his response today at the winter meetings.
Direct factor on it.
Yeah, I would spend a little less time thinking about our payroll. We're trying to put the best team on the field that we possibly can. We want to fill a number of different roles. For example, what has as big an impact as anything is the fact that will Conforto be ready at the beginning of the season or not be ready at the beginning of the season? Do we have to accommodate a potential delay? How does that impact not the payroll as much as the roster and playing time early, playing time late? So there's a lot of things that we're looking at and juggling right now in thinking about where the team will be on opening day and then thereafter. So I know a lot of attention is paid to payroll, but we had a pretty good payroll last year, and went down because of some trades and so forth. But I expect that we'll have a healthy payroll this year. But we also, want to make sure that the team fits right from a roster standpoint also.
I mean, just because of a similar thing, when you guys went to the World Series, it seemed like you capitalized on that momentum by raising it the following year, and it seemed to have a direct, that's fair to say there was a direct correlation between, as well as you guys did, and that momentum to be able to put more money back into the team. Would that be accurate to say that, you think? Or?
I wouldn't go so far as to say, hey, if we do well, then we invest more. That's not an equation that I've been given, or that we necessarily even recognize or consider. So we're trying to improve the team right now, and it's not about what the guy down the hall generating the revenue is doing.
Not about what the guy down the hall generating the revenue is doing. Want to bet? It is a little bit about what the guy down the hall, especially when he brings in the MVP of the National League, it is about what he's doing down the hall. You do compete. The Mets and Yankees think they don't compete. When they say they don't compete, it's kind of foolish because there is part of it they do compete for. They compete for they compete for attention. They compete for headlines. They compete for they compete for the buzz, and they compete for a pool of patrons who go with the now team, who go with the hot team, who go where the action is, who go where the game has some heat, where, hey, I went to see this. I went to this game. This is the now team. This is the now this. This is, that matters. And that defines the excess for one team or the other. It's not the base for either team. But listen, the problem is, the Mets have no direction right now. Conforto's hurt. Wright is in nowhere's land. They have injured pitchers. That's all they've seen. They come off massive injuries. They have a kid at shortstop. They might have a kid at first base. They don't have a second baseman. We don't know what they have in a lot of spots. And they need some players to anchor this. We know they need another guy in the bullpen. Number one, we know they need at least one bona fide hitter to complement their lineup. That has to happen. So we know that not every move is made in a day, but the fact is they don't offer a lot to help you. And, don't dwell on the payroll. Well, the payroll is seen from the fans as a means to an end. What they want is players. What they want is a reason for optimism. That's what they want. Steve in Smithtown. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
Just in case I don't talk to you again, it's been a great 30 years. Been there from the beginning, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask you a question. New York sports in general, over the past 30-some-odd years, we know all the successful teams, the Giants, the Rangers, all the teams when their teams is doing, when a given team is doing good in the playoffs, doing well, which team, I'll ask you, which team do you think has the most buzz, is the most, people get the most excited about when they're doing good in a playoff run, in the playoffs, that type of thing? I think it's the New York Knicks. What do you think on that?
In the whole city?
The whole city.
No.
You had to pick one. Gun to the head. Which one would you pick? You had to pick one.
In this town, the baseball teams and the football teams are bigger than bigger than the Knicks.
You think the excitement is even more than the Knicks? It seems so exciting when the Knicks are doing good. You know?
No, it's still not on the level of what you're talking about with the Yankees. The Yankees are the biggest team in this town, and the Giants are the next biggest team in this town. Those are the two biggest teams in this town. Always have been. And they would continue to be that. And then the Mets, and then the Jets. I mean, that's how it works. And, on a given year, any team can vault to the top based on performance and what's going on. But, I mean, this is a town where, the Yankees are a storied franchise. The Giants are a very revered franchise. I mean, those are nationally revered franchises, and they're big in this town. So they goes first. So the Knicks could create a very good buzz, but not to the level you're talking about with those other teams. Marty joins us. What's up, Marty?
Yeah, Mike, calling from Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, what's up?
Longtime Yankees fan, a longtime Francesa fan. So, Mike, like a lot of your callers, I'm wrapping my head around this void that's coming up, but I know you're going to do great. So, I have one question for you. As a Yankees fan, Jorge Posada, I've always thought throughout his career towards the end, wouldn't be a first-ballot Hall of Famer, but would be an ultimate Hall of Famer. And now I think I read or heard where he didn't garner enough votes in his most recent balloting that he's no longer eligible.
Right.
Is that true?
I'd have to look at what the new rule is now on how many years they changed the rule. I'd have to look at it. You have to get so many percentage. Is he off the ballot already? I'd have to look.
Yeah.
He might be. Yeah, if you don't get enough votes, you're off the ballot. So he might already be off.
How is a switch hitting 280?
He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not. Marty, he's not. Jorge Posada's not a Hall of Famer. He's had a very good, solid catcher. Had a terrific career. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's just not. I mean, I gotta be honest. He's a cut below. The Yankees had a lot of cut belows in that group in that era, but he's a really good player. But he's. And what do you need to get to stay on the ballot? What do you need? You got 3%. What do you need? What's the rule now? They changed it. I don't remember what it was top of my head, but you have to stay on what do you need to stay on the ballot? But I don't think he's anyway. Listen, you need 5 to stay on that year at that time, and he only got 3. Frank in Verona, what's up, Frank?
Hey, Mike, starting next week, I don't know who I'm going to talk to about golf on the radio. So,
well, you'll find someone.
Yeah, I doubt it. Anyway, about Sandy, what's he talking about? He's satisfied with the Mets payroll, 12th in MLB last year. You've got markets like Baltimore, Washington, Texas Rangers, Toronto Blue Jays ahead of him in payroll. I think it's embarrassing.
It is. They shouldn't be at the top, but they should be extremely competitive with a lot of cities, and their payroll is much farther down than it should be. I totally agree. I totally agree. And listen, what he's trying to do is he's trying to sell what he can sell. I mean, I understand.
He sounds like a fool.
I understand what he can do. He's trying to sell you what he can sell you. I mean, that's all he's trying to do. He's trying to basically placate a very unhappy fan base, and the fan base is upset. That they want the Mets to compete. They do. They're upset. They want them to compete, and I think.
How did Brandon Nimmo feel about him making jokes on his behalf?
Yeah, I think it was a bad joke. I also thought it was set a terrible tone with the Mets, and what they don't realize is what they would cast out, they would get back. And the fact is, if they put a little money in, they generate some buzz. The problem is a lot of people resent it. I've had people say to me, I am not giving them any money this year because I'm mad they won't go out and spend any money. So, I mean, you hear that all the time. And the fan is smart enough to realize, hey, I don't have to give them my money if they're not going to give me what I want. And that's why you need to go out there and create some excitement for your team. And for Sandy to talk about, well, don't worry what someone else is doing down the road with their revenues. Well, you know what? Of course you got to worry about that. That's who you're competing against. What do you think you're competing against? What do you think? You're competing in a vacuum? You are competing in a lot of ways against the Yankees for that dollar. If you act like you're not, then you aren't paying attention to what your lot in life is. There's a good, 25% or 20% of that base 20% of that population that is going to go one way or the other. That they are people who want action, people who want teams, people who want, there to be a message. They don't want to, they're not the people who are just going to be diehard. And you got some of those who are going to be there no matter what, who are your guys. That's fine. They're there in thick and thin. They're there. There's just not enough of them.
That ball is high. It is full.